Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am Lacey Dash. I'm your education consultant. I've probably worked with a few of you guys already before. So hopefully you have at least seen the Promethean panel. Today we're kind of gonna go over a few different things that I see that teachers really need to make sure that they're working on. Plus, we're gonna go over how to make a few activities and different things that you can do with the panel. So hopefully you can take these back to your class and apply them and make learning as fun as possible for your students and for you as teachers. It's also going to make it a lot easier on you guys. So we'll go ahead and get started here. This is our agenda for today. And just in case anyone was wondering, I am using the Whiteboard app in Promethean for my presentation today. So if at any time you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You're welcome to use the hand raising feature on Teams, or you can come off of mute and ask. It's a small group today, so we're pretty informal. You can also type it in the chat. Just know I can't see the chat all that well, so I'll have to check it every now and then. But yes, definitely ask questions. And we're going to start off with some organization tips. Then we'll move into our Promethean Whiteboard activities. We'll look at how to use different apps together. We'll also move into some escape rooms just to kind of get you guys a little bit out of the box. Then we'll end up with our support and our resources just in case you have any questions afterwards. All right. So let's go ahead and jump out here. I'm going to open up my locker. I did that using my unified menu, going to locker. And the first thing that I see is teachers that have a lot of apps that they don't really use anymore on the panel. So after last year, you kind of got to decide, maybe test them out a little bit, see which ones worked for you. But now we need to get rid of those apps that we don't need so that they're not taking up any space on the panel. So what I've done is go to my locker and my settings app here, and we're going to come down and find our apps. Under apps, you can see that we have our app info. You find the app that you no longer need. So my ABC Kids here, I don't really need that one for my kids anymore, so I can hit the uninstall button, and it's going to remove it completely from my locker so that I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not taking up space. It's not making the panel run slower. It just makes it a little bit easier for you guys. So that is one way to help you get started organizing for this new year. You also need to make sure that you have access to all of your materials and that you have them organized the way that you want them. So I'm going to open up my locker again, and this time we're going to use our Files app. Now, when you open the Files app, you can see that we have access to everything that we are storing files on, from my USB drive that I have plugged in down here to the Google Drives that I have connected. You can have your OneDrive connected as well. So anything that you have on there, you can see it. At the moment, you're actually looking at what is stored on the panel. Now, I really recommend if you have any Whiteboard apps or Whiteboard files stored on the panel, that you move them to your Google Drive. So all you have to do for that is tap and hold. And then come up here to your lovely little skinny snowman in the top right-hand corner. And you have a few different options. You can copy it to your Google Drive, or you can just straight move it to your Google Drive. If we're clearing up space, I recommend going to Move To. And you're going to take it from here. And now we're going to put it into our Google Drive. So I have my Promethean stuff on here. I'm going to put it right in this Google Drive folder. So now I don't have to worry about it taking up any more space on my panel, and I can very easily jump right back to where I was. It actually went back there for me. You could see that there was nothing there. Let me go back real quick. Of course. There we go. So when we go back to our files, you'll notice that that file is no longer here. Now it's being stored on my Google Drive so we can move on. You also hopefully have been using your capture. You have your capture here on your unified menu. If you have been using that, you probably have a lot of photos saved on there. So it's going to save those in that temporary folder. If I go into that folder, again, if these are pictures that I want to keep, I can move them to my Google Drive. Or if all of these I'm just done with them, I can come up here, click on my skinny snowman, hit select all, and this lovely little trash can up here will let me delete all of those at once. So again, they're not taking up any space on here. Now, I don't actually want to delete all of those because I still use them, but you do have those as an option of helping you clear up some space. So once you have that space cleared up, you can jump back in and start making more activities for your class. So let's go ahead and move down here and look at a few of those activities that we can make. So the first one that I want to look at is creating a diagram that your students can use for labeling. Now, when you are doing this, you can take your picture either from something that you already have stored. So I'm going to my gallery and I can just import that picture here. If that's not the one that I want, I can always open up my Chrome, do a search, find the picture that I'm looking for, and then that picture, I can capture it and move it into my whiteboard. There we go. So once you have your picture in the whiteboard, you need the labels for it. Now you can always have your kids come up here and have them write everything down. I always lose this and write everything down. So say this one is the Golgi. But that's actually going to take a while. And I don't know if you've ever had your kids try and spell out what the parts of the cell are. They get to mitochondria and it's over. So what I like to do for my students is provide them with those labels ahead of time. And the way you can do that is by separating your text or grouping the text with just the word. In order to do that, you're going to write Golgi, then you stop. Once you've done that, and let me go ahead and erase this to get it out of the way here. Once you have done that, you can take that and your students can move it over so that they're able to have that on there, but then all they're having to do is move it over instead of trying to write the words. So I have the full example of this one over here. So you can see how it works for the students. You have all the words on one side, you have your picture, and then they have to come over here and they have to move this around to label everything. And it moves a lot faster for your students, but as a teacher, you can still tell that they know what it is that they're talking about and they know what you're asking them to do. So making it easier for them. Oh, and once you have that on there, let's go ahead and move these back over here real quick. Let's say I want to save it for my students to come back and look at it later. I can save it to my drive just the way that you see it. So I'm going to come up here. I can either use my save disk or I can go to save as. And once I have it on my save as, I can go to my Google Drive. I can pick the folder that I want to put it in and I can save it and pull it up from here just like you saw from the files earlier. All right. So other ways that we can do this, oops, there we go. Other ways that we can use this is for attendance. When your students first come into the class, you have a lot of stuff to be taken care of, right? So to make it a little bit easier for you, you can have a formal attendance that you take up here on the panel every single day. All you have to do is pull it up whenever your students are coming in, and they are responsible for telling you who's here. You can even have it for your lunch count. So the way that we're going to do this is find our picture in our gallery that we want to put our student names on. And I'm going to go ahead and use the baseball. Let's say we're doing this in gym class because those have lots of students in them, right? So your student's going to have their name on here. They can write the name or you can write the name. That is completely up to how you want to do it. Once it's on there, it sticks on there. And you can separate this so that the students have to move theirs over. Now, a finished version of what this looks like is right here. So we have all of our student names on there. And as our students come into class, let's say I'm Alex, I'm going to move this over here, and they can all come in. Anyone that's still left over here at the start of class, you know they're not here yet. So you can either leave it up here. I know some schools are like 5 minutes after the bell rings, but you can leave it up here, and as they come in, you can do that, or you can go ahead and save this. I like to take a capture of it just so I have it, or I can take just this right here and I can come up here, do my export screenshot, and I can save this as a screenshot to my Google Drive. So every day I have it there, and let's say I forgot to go and put roll into the computer, I can go back and look at this afterwards. So even if you have, 7 classes in a day and you missed first period and forgot to put in their attendance, you can go back and you can look at that. So anything to make your lives a little bit easier, and it puts your students in control of their classroom. So they're helping you out by coming in and moving that over. And it becomes an everyday thing. They really get used to it fast, and it makes it so much easier for you. All right, so I'm going to pause here for just a second and check my chat. I don't see anything in the chat. Do you guys have any questions about anything I've shown you so far? I'm going to take the absolute silence as no, we are good, we understand these. Alrighty.
All I can think is they may be trying to do it on their Promethean at the same time. If they're in their rooms. I love this. I love this. I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's fantastic. So you guys are all in your rooms right now?
Well, some of them might be in their classrooms, and some of them, might be home. So,
gosh. Okay, well, perfect. I hope this is giving you guys some ideas. I'm seeing a question on there. Is the attendance a template for every day? Now you can save that for every day. As soon as you have your student list, you can have everything ready to go and saved. Move all of these back over here. You can have it saved like this for each of your classes. And then every day just open up this one so they know when they come in, they have to move theirs. So yeah, you can have the template for every single day, and you guys can design that. And it's really easy if, let's say, one of your students is no longer in the class. Let's say Michael moved away. I can take Michael off of that template. I can also add another student simply by coming over here, finding my template, and let's say we now have Lucy in here, okay? So now I've added Lucy and Michael's no longer there. I also want you guys to notice that with these, there is no background on them. You have the option of, very easily finding a picture that does have a background. Let me go in. I think I've taken all the backgrounds off mine. Okay, this one has a background on it. So I can go in and I can use a picture that has a background, but as you're moving it, you can see the background. What I can also do is take any picture that I have and go to, I'm going to put this in the chat, go to remove.bg, That is probably my favorite website that I use when I'm creating, because any picture that I have, I can take the background off so that it's no longer going to be something that takes up space on your panel. Now it's just that picture. Okay. Awesome. And I've seen it with just about every kind of picture you can think of. I saw one of the teachers that I used to work with actually had a full underwater theme. So her kids all had, seahorses and fish and octopus, whatever they could think of. And they had those little pictures over here that their kids' names were written on. So it looked like an entire underwater scene when they started moving their names to where they needed them to be. It was really cute. You can make it as, plain like this one as you want to, or you can really go crazy with it. I do have a question. Question for in a minute. How can we set our boards to not go to to not go to sleep? Gotcha. We will be in our meeting sharing our screen. And since you don't touch it, okay. With that one, I can actually go ahead and jump into that. Did anybody else have any questions about your templates or anything there before I move away from it? We're good. Y'all guys are playing on the panels, aren't you? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up my settings then, and we'll see where to go to change that. I want to say, you know what, I'm gonna have to look that one up because off the top of my head, I do not remember which one of these it is. It is gonna be under the settings, but I'll get you the instructions that you can send out to your teachers for that one. And yeah, most of the images that I find, let me go ahead and go back to that. Most of the images, question? Okay. No, okay. Most of the images that I find, pretty much everything is from Google. I love using Google searches. Now, if you're worried about, like if you're going to put this on Teachers Pay Teachers, make sure that you're not using a picture that has licensing on it. You can always go and use tools and you can change it to the common licensing. So that you don't get in trouble for having a picture on there that you didn't have the rights to. Good to go. But yeah, everything you can Google and YouTube everything because those are your magic sites. They really are. All right. So that's pretty much it for these. And again, I'll get you the steps on how to make your panel stop turning off. Because I know that I've had that issue in the past. I just have to remember how to go back and do that one. It's not one that you use very often. All right, so the next thing that we're going to look at is using a bunch of apps together. And the first one that I'm going to look at here is, of course, our Whiteboard, because I love our Whiteboard, love, love, love it. It is absolutely infinite. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to test that out, but it just keeps going. But anyway, so we have it on here. And I'm actually going to dock this one over to the side there. Now, just remember, if you guys have the titanium panels, you have this bar down here on the bottom that allows you to open multiple apps at the same time. So I have this one docked over to the left side here for you guys. And I'm going to also open up my recent apps and pull up my Chrome. So I am finished with my plant here, but I'm actually going to be looking at stuff for the Texas Revolution. So I'm going to dock that over to the right side. So now I have this over here for me and my students to work on. But I also have my questions and my information over here on the side. And I apologize if you can hear my dogs running up the stairs, the joys of working from home. But anyways, so I have both of these open here. And my students can see their questions. I want them to tell me, when did it start? Who was fighting in it? What was the first and the last battle? So that's what we're looking for over here. And when we're finding these, I actually want to highlight them. So I'm going to pull up my Annotate app. I'm going to switch it over to my highlighter, make sure that it's all the way big there. And I like the green highlighter, so we'll use that one. So as we're reading through this, the first one that we're looking for is when. And I come across my when dates on here. Now my students can be taking their notes, or they can even copy these questions into their notebook. And now they have their answer. So we're doing these along with each other. Then the next one, who fought in the Texas Revolution, they have those on there. And then as they keep going, we see all of our answers. Once we have those answers, we can move into another app that has to do with this. I always like doing a virtual field trip for my students. Now, I actually taught science, so we did a lot of underwater stuff, or went to volcanoes and all of those kind of things. But for this one, I actually want to use Google Earth. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that off there. So I've already opened up Google Earth. I have searched for the Alamo because that's the next one we want to talk about. And they actually have full tours that will take you to the Alamo and let you walk through and see everything with your students the way they actually would if they were walking through it. Now, I live in San Antonio, so I've actually walked through the Alamo probably more times than I can count. And looking through this, it looks exactly the same. I mean, everything, the pictures are fantastic. It is 360 degrees here, so you can keep walking through it. You can look at everything. And it also gives you this wonderful little blurb over here about the information that you're seeing. So these apps that you have access to make it to where your students, even from their seats, can be interactive in the world around them. All right, so let's say we have done that tour, and now I'm going to pull up YouTube, and I can have it over here in the corner if I want to show the video and still take notes, or we can go full screen with this one, have my kids watch the video about the Texas Revolution.
Howdy, partner, and welcome to Feature History, featuring the Texas Revolution, a time back in the...
Now, I'm not actually going to make you guys sit through the whole Texas Revolution video here, but just know that you have access to these things for your students. Perfect. All right, so any questions about the apps I've shown you guys so far? I'm seeing quite a few things popping up over here. All right, so do you have the Google Earth app? Yes, I have the Google Earth app right here in my locker. I downloaded it already so that I could have it ready to go for you guys. So you can set it up ahead of time. And yes, you may watch this recording later, definitely. So we have it recording, and you can always come back and you can see where I'm getting everything. If you have questions afterwards, my email will be at the end of the video, so you can definitely send those questions to me. All right, so can we download apps, or is that for technology to do? I'm going to throw this one over to Mandy. How are you guys doing it at your school?
Yeah, Kira, I think we still have that app store open. I will verify that information and then definitely let you know. So I'm going to take a note, but I think you still have that option to do that.
Perfect. So if you're not seeing that, then what you guys would do is send in a tech ticket to your ITs, and they would actually push it out for you. But I think, as she said, right now you guys should still have access to it, which does make it a little bit easier for you. You don't have to worry about tech tickets, and you can just have it immediately there on your panel. So really all you have to do is open up your store here. Open up your store, search for whatever it is that you want. I obviously just put Google Earth on there very recently, but so you do have that there. If you have it, it'll say open. If you don't have it, it'll give you the option to install. Once you install it, all you have to do is open up your locker, and it'll actually be on the last page here. And once you have that, you can take it and move it to wherever you need it to be. There we go. All right. Other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions on there, so I think we are good with that one. Oh, I'm not quite sure what I clicked on there, but I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. And let's go ahead and go back full screen with this here. So just know, and even if you have the nickel panels, you guys can still use multiple apps. You can only have one showing up here at a time, but what you would do is just have your students copy down those questions into their notebooks and then open up your other pages. So still really simple to use those, you just can't have them side by side. But you still have access to all of the same apps, and you can still make it as really interactive and as visual for your students as possible. All right, now if you are looking for something that's a little bit more getting them out of their seats or getting them to come up to the panel, my favorite is going to be our escape rooms. So I'm going to jump over. What did I just, there we go. I'm going to jump over to an escape room that I actually already have made. And let's go full screen with this one. There we go. My phone is blowing up for some reason. I apologize if y'all can hear that buzzing. So I have my escape room here. I made this ahead of time. This one was actually for a, what is it? A conference that I was doing with one of my schools. But the way that it works is it's a Google site. All you have to do is create a Google site, and I can show you how to do that if you guys want me to. But what I have on here is my picture, my instructions, and down here, this is actually their final password. So this will be the last thing that they want to do. Up here in the top corner, it'll give me my pages that I can go to. Now, each page is going to be a separate clue. You can make those clues where they just use the internet, or you can make it to where they need to use the panel. So in this case, they would use the picture, they would look at the picture, notice which YouTube video they need to go watch. The clock tells them what time they need to go watch, and then they'll actually come back to this page and be able to put that answer in. So this one would really be able to be used from anywhere because, excuse me, because your students can access YouTube from their computers, from their cell phones, whatever they happen to be using. I also like to include using the panel because I feel like it gets them up here, it makes them use their technology, it really makes them feel like they're part of that class. So with this one, what they have to do is find their spinner. Now guys, the spinner app, I don't know if you've used it yet. It is probably the absolute favorite of every teacher I have worked with. Your spinner app is located in your locker. And it's going to pop up as a floating spinner, which means it's going to show up over no matter what I have. Now I can have it set on colors so that it matches what they see on here. They have to search for their clue. Always make sure that the clue is really big and easy for them to see. Then once you have your clues, they can go through here and they can see that the green ones actually spell out the word learn. So if I come back over here, notice I can still have that on there, but I can move this. I can get rid of that if I'm finished with it. And when I type in the answer, it gives them their clue. So they have to find multiple clues. Now I've seen this used for English, I've seen it used for science, I've definitely seen it used for technology classes. This one is actually for teachers, but the way that it works is they have to go through all the clues Then they have to answer that final one, and it's just a giant puzzle, but you have them doing the stuff for your class at the same time. So with this one, it actually sends them to a file. Go to that one real quick. Yep, there's their clue. And this one, they have to work out a math problem to be able to do it. So you can take those problems that you would normally have just on a worksheet, and now it makes it fun for them to have to go find it. Then they have to work out that problem, and it gives them their answer. When they get to see, this real quick, when they get to see their answer is correct, let me go ahead and type in the correct answer here. And go to next. There we go. When they see that letter pop up, it's actually very much like a video game for them. It has that reward, that release of serotonin in their brain that says, oh my God, I did it, yay. And they know that they have that answer right. It's immediate feedback for them. So it really encourages them to go through those steps a lot more than just, that paper worksheet or even the virtual worksheets do, because they're getting that immediate feedback for them. Plus, you can have them working in teams on this one. One of the ways that I used to do these in my classroom is I would partner up with another teacher. And instead of, me trying to control my class and have one group up here doing the escape room, I would send all the students to another teacher. She would have them doing one project that they would be doing on their own, and I would take small groups back to my class to try and do the escape room. So it's really nice to have that extra help, I guess. But it also makes it really exciting for your students. They want to participate, they want to be in that moment, and it's a competition. We took pictures actually of students, the ones that finished it, and they posted it on their social media. So they're actually proud of stuff that they did at school, which is what we're trying to get them to do, right? We want them to learn and we want them to be proud of it. So definitely encourages those students. And in all honesty, with this one, it encouraged the teachers too. They had a blast with it. So if you guys are interested in anything like that, just let me know. Let's see.
I think this is a great way, Lacey, like to actually show how the Promethean isn't just like another like thing at the front of the classroom that nobody gets to touch. Like you're truly showing how it works in stations and whatnot. So thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really what I want you guys to take away from this, is that there's so many different ways to use it. Moving away from, plug in your computer, show a PowerPoint, have your kids do a worksheet. That's what I did in school, and I was miserable with it, which is also why I became a teacher, because I think learning should be interesting. Learning should be fun for the students and for the teachers. So definitely there to encourage that. Speaking of letting your students use the panel also, I do want to point out, I have had, because I was just looking at both of these, I have had teachers that are like, well, I lost my stylus. I can't let my students use the panel anymore. I promise you still can. This is a chopstick. I'm going to open up my whiteboard here, and I'm going to draw on it with a chopstick. Your students can use the panel. Now they are welcome to come over here. They can use their finger if they want to. However, that leaves lots of smudges. And with COVID, and guys, from a biology teacher, you don't want to know what's on your children's hands. So you might not want to have them actually touching the panel, but we do want them using the panel. So having those extra options of things that they can use, draw on it, makes it a little bit easier for you guys. Plus, you don't have to clean it as often. So just a few ideas there for y'all. Any questions before I move on from the escape room or anything about writing on the panel? All right. And we're going to go ahead and jump into our support and resources. So with this one, And you guys are welcome to write that down right there. That is my email address if you don't already have it. Hopefully you guys already have it. But I am, like I said, your education consultant. I'm here for you. So if you have questions about anything, where to find something, how to do something, you want ideas. I love coming up with ideas. I love talking with the other education consultants to see what they already have. We work with teachers around the country. And we get to see what they're doing actually around the world. So we get to see what they're doing in their classrooms, and we get to pass these amazing things along to the other teachers that we work with. So definitely use me and the other education consultants as a resource. We also have our resource library. I don't know how much you guys are using the software, but in our resource library, go ahead and jump over to that real quick. There we go. In our resource library, we have over 50,000 resources right now, and these are all free resources. If you've used Promethean Planet in the past, this is where most of those have moved to, plus all the new stuff that we're making. So right now we have everything for Active Inspire, so any flip charts that you could possibly want, activities, all of those, they are here. Also, those activities, if you want to, you can pull them up. Let me go to. You can pull them up here in your locker. You have an activities player. So again, you can turn your panel into another center for your students to come up and work on it. And you can have 2 of those activity games going at the same time. And you can find free ones on here. You also have our recently added things. All of these are going to be whiteboard files, so you can open them, use them in our Promethean whiteboard. I think most of what we have right now is math at the moment, but we are working on getting other subjects in there as well. So just a great resource. Now the files, the flip charts, those are all subjects. Just the whiteboard ones, those are going to be math for right now. But you do have tons of resources on here. Flip through it, search whatever it is that you happen to be looking for. I promise you're going to find something for it. If by any chance you don't find what you're looking for, let us know, because we are always adding to this. All right, so that is our resources. You also have access to, and I do believe most of you guys have already done these, but I just want to make sure you have access. This is our Learn Promethean website. At the Learn Promethean website, you register completely free. You don't have to worry about paying or having your school pay or any of that kind of stuff. So completely free, you register, and you can take the courses. Now these courses, these are just a few of them. We've actually added a couple of them recently. Like creating activities and then delivering activities from the panel. So you'll see a few more ideas on here. I've given you a few today. Hopefully you found a few to use in the orientation if you've already done that. But you also have these that you can go to. They are completely on your time. So if you need to pause it or stop and come back to it later, you can definitely do that. We have our Promethean certified teacher, always recommend that one. Definitely coming back to school. You might want to go back and look at that one just for a quick refresher of, where is everything on the panel? What all do I need to be using? That kind of thing. And then also our introduction for our software. We have both kinds of software, the Active Inspire and the online software ClassFlow, which I love. And you have these courses that teach you how to use them. If you want to break it down a little bit more, and let's say you're a really visual learner, I definitely recommend going to our video tutorials. Now, in our video library, I want to say there's more than 400 videos on here. They're all really short though. So the way that it works is you find whatever it is that you're looking for. Let's say I'm using my Elements series panel and I want to know what buttons I have on the center console. So I can find that video on there, watch the 1 to 2 minute video, And now I'm refreshed on what I can do on my center console down here, what each of these buttons does. So I can do that for pretty much every feature that is on the panel and on the software. Gonna be honest, this is where I learned how to use the Promethean products. So if it looks like I know what I'm doing, it's because of these. All right, so I'm gonna pause it there for a second and check my chat one more time. So is there a quicker way to switch between pen, eraser, and click tool on Whiteboard? With that one, if you're using a nickel, if you have one of the original panels, then no, you have to go back and forth. If you have one of the new titanium panels, let me open up my whiteboard here real quick. And right now on my titanium, I have enabled what we call palm mode. With that, I can use my pen to write. I can use my finger to move it or to resize it or turn it as I need to. But I also can use either my palm or the side of my fist to erase. And all of that is done over here with it on the cursor. So I never actually have to go back and forth. But that's only going to be on the titanium. So if you have the center console here, yours will do that. If your buttons are over off to the side, yours doesn't. You also have the option with this one for what we call second pen mode. So if I turn that on, and let's say I write over here with my pen, I can also flip the pen over and it becomes an eraser. So you can definitely use that if you want to. If I turn second pen off, then when I'm writing, if I turn it over, it just continues writing. It becomes a second pen. But so you do have those options on there. Mandy, I need the newer model. That one I can't help you with, sorry. But guys, in all honesty, the nickel, I mean, yes, you have to go and change the tool, but it still works really well. And the writing feature, I mean, have you had a writing feature that you didn't have to calibrate and that wrote that smooth? The nickel is still not bad, I promise. Good to go. So do we have any questions about anything I've shown you so far? No? All right. Well, I think I might have gone through all of that a little bit fast there. Is there anything that you guys that I haven't gone over that you might like to see? This is a great reminder on some things. Perfect. So hopefully, even if you have used these in the past, you are still getting something new out of it. Definitely. It's still better? Okay. There you go. That's the way to look at it. It's definitely better than what you had before. Is there a way to save spinner options? So like making your own spinner, is that what you're asking?
Yes, like if I put all my students' names on it, can they stay on there whenever I open the spinner again later on?
Definitely. So I'm gonna open up a spinner real quick. Every time I add a new app, it pushes it and I never know where everything is. All right, so once I open my spinner, it usually opens up with either colors or names or something. So what I can do is tap on the name of it, go to create new. Now you always want to have the title of your spinner, so whatever class it is. So let's say we have first period here. Title goes first. If you put Bob's name in the top part of your spinner, Bob will not be on your spinner. So the second line is where you're going to start with your items. So you can have your students. So let's put Bob and Jose and Lindsay. All right, so we have these students on there. I can very easily add as many as I need to. Hopefully you don't have, I think it's 49 on there that you can put all in one. So hopefully you don't have more students than that, but you should be able to fit all of them on there. Just know the more you have, the smaller those wedges are going to be. They can even come up and choose their own colors if they want to. And then you just click save. So now I have my spinner on here. I can go use a different spinner. And then if I tap that name again, I can always come back and use the spinner again. So you can save it and keep it as long as you need to. You don't have to put them in every day. That way it's really easy to come back to as you need to. And then if I'm finished with that, let's say it's the end of the school year, or if you have one saved from last year, you can go over to our, it looks like a pencil. It's our edit button. And now there is a trash can up there next to our cancel button. I can hit trash. It'll ask me, do I need to delete this? Yes, I do. And now that spinner is gone. Okay, but if I don't delete it, that spinner is going to stay on there and it will still show up in my list unless I've deleted it. Good to go. So I think Mandy's just putting all of those in there for you. Perfect.
Yes, I just wanted them like documented in one place. So oh, I got them all.
That definitely works. And if for any reason you forget any of that or you can't find this on there, the videos that I showed you a minute ago that are on Learn Promethean, it'll walk you through it step by step. All right. Great question so far. Anything else that you guys were wondering about? Anything that you'd like to include in your classroom this year?
I have a question again, because I've been trying ever since you showed me that attendance thing, but I can't figure out how, like, after they move it, and then, so like the next day, how do I just open up the blank one again?
Gotcha. Back over. Okay. So before my students come in, what I'm going to do is get that off there, is take this, and this will be the only thing that I have on that, on this whiteboard file. And what I'm gonna do is come up here to my skinny snowman. I'm gonna do a save as. And I'm gonna save that. Let's save it to this one here. I'm gonna save it to my Promethean. And let's just call it attendance. So now I have it saved in my Google Drive there. And my students come in, they can do whatever they need to it. And then when I go back to open up here, the next day, I can go to attendance. And it's going to open it back up with nothing on it. So you can just reopen it every day.
Thank you, ma'am.
At the end of the year, we switched from using the app on the desktop to using the Chrome extension. You don't have touchback with the Chrome extension. So you're asking about screen share, right? So with screen share, you do have the option of the app or the option of the Chrome extension, but the Chrome extension only allows you to share. It does not allow touchback at all.
Okay, for some reason the app wasn't working for us as well. I don't know if it was universal in the district or just at my campus, but I was told to use the extension. So I just wanted to check on that and see if it had been updated or if that was going to be a thing.
We definitely updated that app. I can't remember when we did it, but we have updated it recently.
Okay.
So I would go ahead and download the app one more time and see if you can get it to work on there.
Okay, perfect. I will try that. Thank you.
Good to go. All right, any other questions? Anything that you guys had questions about last year, maybe just didn't get to ask? And I'm going to take silence as a no. So I'll tell you what, if you come up with any questions, again, don't hesitate to contact me. I am here for you guys. I'm going to put that back up there really quick one more time, just so that you do have all of those resources plus my contact in case at any time you have questions. By all means, contact me. Plus, you guys have all of your IT people that are there to help you as well. All right. Mandy, did you want to add anything else to the end of this?
I wish we could do the spinner. We have, right now we're sitting at 739 entries for the wonderful Promethean that you guys are giving us to give away. So darn, we can't use the Promethean board to show that. But no, thank you guys. Thank you, Lacey, for coming and showing us. And like I said, for me, especially reminding me what all of the Promethean has to offer. So thank you.
Well, thank
and
you
the
so much for letting me come in.
Yes, and the video, friends, will be available. You know, Microsoft Stream will email it to me, of course, and then I'll add it to our website so that you can pause, rewind, and do all the fun stuff with it beginning tomorrow.
Good to go. All right, well, if there are no other questions and nothing else to add, I do want to again say thank you guys so much for joining me and for having me at your district. And if you need anything, I'm here. Other than that, y'all have a fantastic day and enjoy the rest of your sessions.